I thought I'd pull out another one of my little toys I got with my R.E.I. dividend. And my apologies to the folks that are watching outside of the U.S. who don't know what R.E.I. is. It's just this big outdoors company, and it's a co-op, and it was started back in the 30s, back in Seattle, Washington, when some guy couldn't find an ice axe for a good price or something, so some people got together to, I guess, improve their buying power. Anyway, nowadays it's just this big outdoor retailer who sell a lot of outdoor gear, but I have to say it's a little bit, some of it tends to be more towards the, I don't know, less hardcore side of things in a way. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but anyway, I enjoy collecting and using a wide variety of outdoor gear, stuff from the pretty rustic end of things to some fancy kind of newer tech type stuff. I just kind of enjoy outdoor gear in general, the newer stuff and the older stuff. I'm a big fan of old school gear, absolutely, but I buy some new stuff too and enjoy using it. One of the things I got was this little, well anyway, the R.E.I. dividend. If you're a member of the co-op, they give you a percentage back of how much you spend every year. It's around 10%. And if you have like a rewards credit card, that gives you a percentage back too. So anyway, every year in around March, you get your dividend back. It's a certain amount of money that you can spend to buy stuff from R.E.I., or if you wait a number of months, you can cash it out for cash. But pretty much what everybody does is when they get their dividend in March, shortly thereafter, R.E.I. does this thing where they give you a 20% coupon, so you can get 20% off one item. So everybody takes their dividend, blows it on something or some stuff, and gets that 20% off. And it's just kind of a yearly tradition for R.E.I. members. I am in no way, shape, or form sponsored by R.E.I. or MSR or any of the companies who make products that I talk about. I just enjoy the stuff, and kind of want to show it to others if they're thinking about maybe getting something like this. What I got was this little MSR PocketRocket. It's a solo one-person cook set. Looked like a neat little unit. My apologies. This is a fuel canister, a JetBoil fuel canister. It's not the size it fits in here, but it'll work. This is what I have at home. Sometime when I get a proper MSR fuel canister for this, I'll probably do a proper little review of it. This little cup comes off the bottom. It's basically everything you need to cook, food or beverage for one person. As long as your cooking doesn't involve much more than heating up water. You could probably cook some fancier stuff in here if you really tried, but it's mostly a heat up water type thing. The stove itself is very small. It folds up into this small little piece here. You just fold all the pot rests out on it. And this screws onto the fuel canister. Better close the valve here first. Yes, I bought another stove. I don't know how many camping slash backpacking stoves. I have a lot. That's kind of, they're my little toy, basically. It's what I like to collect and play with. And, shoot, nowadays I'm mostly hanging pots over an open fire. I'm going to put a little water in the pot. It's I believe it's a 0.8 liter pot. There is a little fill line up here that says 0.5 liters. The little plastic cup has measurements on it also. I'm just going to fire this up and make some tea here. maybe a little bit more water. I'm just gonna throw 2 tea bags in here, so make kind of a double cup of tea. See if I can get this on some level ground. Here we go. Hopefully this lighter works. It's a little cool. That's why these aren't necessarily the best thing to depend on if it's cold outside. But I would carry one, but carry alternatives, definitely. Yeah, these gas canister stoves light up really easily, obviously. I don't know if they fare the best in the wind, though. This is designed to supposedly work a little bit better in the wind. Has a little lid on it that has some strainer holes. This also, around the top here, there's a little silicone ring that you can helps you hold it when it's warm. Has a little pot gripper, small little aluminum or aluminium pot gripper. It just kind of, the lid even has a little hole for it to slide down in there, so you can pick it up. And yeah, I've played around this at home a little bit, and when you have it on the when you're heating it up over the stove, that silicone ring does get hot enough to the point where you can't just pick it up off of the burner, but after a little bit it cools down to where you can handle it. But this whole unit, with the stove, the fuel canister and everything, if you have the right size fuel canister, it all fits inside this inside the pot, so it really doesn't take up very much room at all in your pack. Because it has that silicone ring on there, the instructions said to be careful not to have the flame too high, because it can damage that if the flame's going up the side. But if the flame's going up the side, you're wasting gas, you're wasting fuel, because that heat is just escaping and it's not being used to heat up your water. So you always want to keep that that flame just around the more or less just underneath the pot itself. It's a good handy little unit. On the grand scale of things, I mean, last time I counted, I don't know, I had maybe like 18, 19 stoves, if that's even, that almost sounds like it's too many, but I'm not sure it is. And that's including things like Swedish mess kits with a Trangia burner cup in there. Because I have an authentic one. I also have a reproduction one that has the little alcohol stove, and the reproduction one was actually a Trangia. The alcohol stove that came with the authentic one I have, that's a Svea. And that's like 2 of the stoves I have, for instance. I also have 2 Svea 123 R's. I really like those kind of old school type stoves. But yeah, I have tons of camp stoves, and most of the stoves that I have run on white gas or liquid fuel. I don't have as many of the canister stoves. They're definitely pretty handy, because all you have to do is screw them together and light them up. You don't have to mess with priming the stove, any of that stuff, which is nice. I kind of get the impression that it seems like, at least in the United States, it seems like currently that the gas canister type stoves seem to be a little bit more popular. They definitely sell the liquid fuel stoves still, no doubt about that, but these seem to be probably the bigger market share by probably quite a bit, I would think. And I don't know if that's just kind of a convenience slash, dare I say, laziness type thing. I don't know. There's just a little bit of breeze blowing here, and the stove's handling it fine. Hasn't been blown out. a long time ago, I had a very no frills, plain Jane, pretty cheap gas canister stove, and that one had big problems with the wind blowing it out. It got blown out a lot. It was quite a pain to use, actually. That was actually the first stove I ever got. My aunt, who used to do quite a bit of backpacking, she got me that for a birthday present or something, and I really loved that stove. I really love that stove. That was the first one I ever had. I also have a jet boil stove, and it's I bought that probably within the first year or so that they were selling them back in, I think, 2004. And that stove, in a sense, is kind of similar to this setup in that it's smaller. It's all kind of self-contained. You can put the gas canister and the burner and everything inside the pot. The pot on those is bigger. And are we boiling? Nope, not quite. With the jet boils, it's designed in such a way that it's a little bit more efficient in how the flame heats the pot. Probably goes through a little less fuel, I would say, than this one, just because the way the bottom of that pot is designed is probably a little bit more efficient. I think MSR has something similar. I think it's the MSR reactor stove or something like that. They came out with that a couple years after Jetboil did. And Jetboil, I know that they, at first, when I bought mine, they had like one model. Now they have different ones, like bigger ones that are more designed to actually cook food. It's the same type of thing. It's kind of like if you can cook your food and beverages, but it's more of a boiling water type thing. They've diversified out from that, and I don't even know if they've, like the stove I have, I don't know if they've kind of modified it quite a bit or not. Seems a little silly to be heating up water on a stove when there's a fire right next to me and I have a pot I can put water in, but I'm just playing with my toys. Starting to steam a fair bit here. I don't know. I mean, the liquid fuel for the white gas for stoves isn't exactly cheap, and neither are the fuel canisters. I'm not really sure, like, price per usage standpoint where they stack up. I would tend to think that the gas canister stoves are probably a little bit more expensive to run. I'd have to say probably the cheapest stove fuel I could think of would probably be denatured alcohol or methylated spirits or meths for using in a Trangia stove or a, you can construct them yourself. There's do-it-yourself versions that do the same thing. My guess is buying that at the hardware store in a big gallon-sized can, that's probably the cheapest stove fuel that you could get, I would imagine. I don't know that for a fact. I'd have to go to the store and run some numbers. Almost there. If you're wondering, if anybody was wondering what this thing was that I pulled out of the stove, that's nothing more than just a piece of old T-shirt that I used to wrap the stove burner up in there and the pot grabber That way it's just not banging around inside there. The pot itself, it's anodized aluminum, or aluminium, if we want to sound a little fancier. At least it sounds fancier to us in the United States. I used to hear this like aluminium, and I think it just, like my bike, for instance, it's an aluminum frame, and I'd hear like British folks talking about bicycles, and I'd hear like aluminium, and for a while I didn't even catch on to what they were talking about. And they're like, oh, they mean aluminum. Okay. All right, we're boiling. All right. Shut this off here. Yeah, pot gripper here. Pick that up. So that's the little MSR PocketRocket solo cook set. It's brewing up a little tea for the morning to follow the coffee. But yeah, eventually I think I'll try to do like a little dedicated review video on the stove or something like that. Maybe try to use it a little bit more, get some more thoughts on, although I think I probably mostly know what I would say. Anyway, I figured I'd pull out one of my new toys and just play with it and show everybody.